Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, striking their target. The new images coming in, the 10th military strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. And tonight, President Trump now sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the waters of Central and South America. We'll go live to Martha Raddatz. Tonight, day 24 of the government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of workers now going without their paychecks. Congress is still getting paid. President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring former President Ronald Reagan. And the new inflation report tonight showing inflation here in this country climbing at its fastest rate since January. Beef prices, for one, soaring. Tropical storm Melissa gaining strength in the Atlantic. A hurricane by tomorrow, expected to be a major Category 4 by Sunday. The new models just in tonight, the potential track of this storm. The alarming scene outside a Coast Guard base. Police opening fire during a protest, a U-Haul truck backing up into the gate. It comes after jarring images showing a minister hit in the face by a flashbang. A National Guard plane coming down across a highway, hitting power lines and crashing. A Deljet forced to abort takeoff, flames shooting from the right engine. The system-wide outage canceling hundreds of flights, travelers stranded for hours. What Alaska Airlines is now saying tonight. New York Attorney General Letitia James pleading not guilty tonight, accusing the Justice Department of being used as a Mayor Andrew Cuomo laughed. Radio host said Zohran Mamdani would cheer if there was another 9/11. Tonight, Mamdani, before the cameras, responding. His personal and at times emotional message for voters here. Tonight, recall.
Pelosi called for something that we've never heard before. Our state and local authorities may arrest federal agents if they break California law. And if they're convicted, the president cannot pardon them. San Francisco police arresting ICE agents for enforcing the law? I'd like to see San Fran PD slap cuffs on Homan's boys. I'd like to see that. This is Civil War type stuff. Democrats are working harder to arrest ICE than illegals. Why didn't they make a master tracker for the migrant kids Biden lost? U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is here. All right, so Lori Lightfoot, JB Back Ribs Pritzker, they're doxing, they're telling people the whereabouts of ICE agents. Is that legal?
It's your first time at Lori Lightfoot. It's not violent. Harm them. Send them for emails or everything. Topic because to arrest a federal agent, you cannot do that. Heeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me. We will charge them if they are violating the law. We will protect our federal agents. They're out there working nonstop. These people out there warning you. You've got Pelosi out there saying to obstruct their investigation. You can't do it. And we're going to investigate her now as well as that DA. And Pritzker's on the list too, Jesse.
I'm not a lawyer, but these are warning letters. You send these out to say, preserve documents. You face action if continues.
They got us today because they can need a investigation. They cannot impede federal officers doing their jobs. They're out there risking their lives every single day and night to keep the people of California safe. Yet these lawmakers are truly insane by what they're doing. And Donald Trump is not going to put up with it. We are going to protect our men and women in blue. We're going to protect all of our law enforcement agents. And these politicians aren't going to play with it anymore.
All right. And something that's really near and dear to our heart here. A couple months ago, are we going to get judged?
Tonight, the major military escalation, the largest aircraft carrier in the U.S. Navy ordered to move towards South America as President Trump ramps up the pressure on Venezuela. A massive display of firepower, including thousands of sailors, dozens of aircrafts, several destroyers, and a submarine, all heading to the Caribbean, where overnight the U.S. military struck another boat allegedly carrying drugs and cartel members. Is this all to deter drug trafficking? The deadly crane collapse in Massachusetts. 2 killed. Now the investigation into what went wrong here. The dangerous new forecast, the storm, set to make a direct hit on Jamaica as a powerful Category 4 hurricane and sit there for days. Officers opening fire at a Coast Guard base housing immigration officers as a U-Haul speeds towards them, witnesses diving for cover. The stock market hits a major milestone as President Trump calls off trade talks with Canada because of a TV ad about tariffs. Canada's reaction tonight. Paychecks issued today for $0. More than 1 million federal workers missing their first full paychecks because of the government shutdown. Terrifying surveillance video just released showing a fatal bus explosion that sent workers running. The potentially life-saving update tonight. The cancer patient we told you about last night with only months to live. After our report, the incredible news he just received about the drug he so desperately needs. And after tragedy, triumph. The young girl who has already overcome so much. Her incredible story of survival and homecoming, the celebration. Nightly News.
The president flexes America's military and financial muscle in the drug war, sending the world's largest aircraft carrier to waters off Venezuela, and in Colombia's president with economic sanctions.
Ribeye, tenderloin strip.
Also tonight, what's behind the soaring cost of beef?
On average, Americans pay about 10 to 20% more for beef.
A state where cattle is king crowns a champion squirrel.
And Steve Hartman.
It was amazing. He couldn't stop smiling. It was like a wish come true.
School kids give their principal the surprise of her life.
They're awesome.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
President Trump is stepping up his war against illegal drugs on 2 fronts, military and economic.
On the military, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth today ordered an aircraft carrier, the biggest one in the world, to waters off Venezuela, whose dictator is under indictment in the United States on drug trafficking charges.
And the U.S. Treasury imposed economic sanctions on the president of Colombia, who Mr. Trump calls an illegal drug leader.
Charlie Daggett in Washington has more about the U.S. military buildup off of South America. Charlie?
Yeah, this is a major escalation which will dramatically surge the amount of ships, aircraft, and troops to the region, and there is no greater projection of U.S. military power than the carrier strike group.
The deployment of the Ford aircraft carrier and its escorting warships to the Caribbean is the strongest signal yet the U.S. is preparing to widen its airstrike campaign in the region, with 10 strikes on suspected
Friday night, terminated. The U.S. president cancels negotiations with Canada, angry over an Ontario government TV ad that condemns tariffs through the words of a former president.
American jobs and growth are at stake.
The response from the Prime Minister and Ontario's Premier. Plus, the looming U.S. Supreme Court case that threatens to upend Trump's tariffs, what it could mean for Canada. And the big excited in Toronto and across Canada for Game 1 of the World Series.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. It's Game 1 of the World Series, but we begin tonight with a political curveball from the U.S. President. Donald Trump is once again terminating trade talks with Canada. This time, he's blaming an anti-tariff TV ad that was produced by the Ontario government. It's been airing this week in the U.S. and features part of a speech from former Republican President Ronald Reagan. In a late-night social media post, Trump wrote, "Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated." Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is prepared to resume talks when the Americans are ready. And this afternoon, Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced plans to pull that ad, but not before it airs during the World Series in front of a massive TV audience.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Bennett. I'm the Navaz away. On the News Hour tonight, the U.S. escalates regional tensions with another deadly strike on an alleged drug boat off the coast of Venezuela. Experts warn of the dangers of political interference in economic data after the president fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And Congress remains divided as the government shutdown continues, leaving many critical workers unpaid and needing to resort to food banks to survive.
There's just tremendous anxiety across our community at this stage.
Major funding for the PBS NewsHour has been provided.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The United Nations is urging Israel to open the Rafah border crossing to allow urgently needed aid into the Gaza Strip. This comes as 41 aid groups, including Oxfam and the Norwegian Refugee Council, have published an open letter accusing Israel of arbitrarily rejecting aid deliveries into Gaza. The letter says, quote, "Aid denied by Israeli authorities includes tents and tarpaulins, blankets, mattresses, food and nutrition supplies, hygiene kits, sanitation materials, assistive devices, and children's clothing, all of which should be unrestricted during the ceasefire," they wrote. The World Food Program warned it was falling short of its target of sending 2,000 tons of food into Gaza. Meanwhile, the WHO described Gaza's starvation crisis as still catastrophic.
There is increase in amount after the ceasefire, but what is entering Gaza is significant.
Hello, a very good morning. It's 8 o'clock. Coming up on the show today, the manhunt for an accidentally released asylum seeker serving time for sexually assaulting a teenage girl spreads to London.
And Max Verstappen strikes the first psychological blow in practice for Formula One's Mexico Grand Prix as a three-way world title race intensifies.
It's Saturday, 25th of October. Pressure builds on the government to explain how the asylum seeker who sparked weeks of protests in Epping after his arrest was accidentally released.
I'm appalled and livid on behalf of the public that Karate is at large.
Decision day for the Deputy Labour Leadership Contest, with Lucy Powell and Bridget Phillipson both vying for the role. Sky News hears from a clan leader in Gaza who says Israel is providing support for militia groups to help fight Hamas. And could the UK run out of water? The warning from experts that fast changes are needed to keep Britain's taps on.
And in the Premier League, West Ham's miserable start to the season goes on as they lose at Leeds to remain
asylum seeker who sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl. He was understood to be at large.
This is DW News, live from Berlin. Ukraine's allies pledged to take Russian fossil fuels off the global market. At a London summit, European leaders tell Ukraine's President Zelensky they will boycott Russian oil and gas and step up military aid to Kyiv. Also on the program, Ivory Coast President Ouattara seeks a fourth term. But with key opponents blocked from running, there are fears the vote in the West African nation could spark bloody clashes that scarred its last election. And Porsche sputters. The German sports car maker's profits tank as it unplugs its EV ambitions.
Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. You're watching Daybreak on France 24. Our headlines this Saturday. The U.S. escalates its proclaimed war trafficking, deploying its largest aircraft carrier to the Caribbean. The Trump administration also carried out a 10th strike on an alleged drug smuggling boat and slapped sanctions on the Colombian president. Some relief for France's beleaguered government. Moody's is maintaining the country's credit rating at AA. Still, the agency revised its outlook to negative, citing fragmentation in France's parliament, where a new budget is currently being debated. We'll get some analysis from Rémi Bourgeot, an economist and research associate at French think tank IRIS. And Donald Trump is headed to Asia, where he's due to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping at a summit in South Korea next week. But he also has stops in Japan and Malaysia, where this Sunday he'll attend a signing of a peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia. We have a special report from their disputed border.
This is Asia Now.
Malay's capital, US and Chinese officials are holding crucial trade talks. Plus, Thailand in mourning as former Queen's
The website. Today, a toddler dies in the foyer of a police station after a car crash in Logan, South Brisbane. Crash during qualifying in the Gold Coast 500. Canada
And Port Adelaide wins its maiden AFLW showdown, a 7-point win against the Adelaide Crows. ABC News, I'm Elizabeth Hay. Investigations are underway after a 3-year-old child died in a police station foyer in southeast Queensland. Emma Johnson has the details. Police responded to a scene.
Good morning. A manhunt is underway for a convicted sex offender migrant who was accidentally freed from jail.
As the Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy leads demands for the police to explain how the Epping migrant Hadush Kibatu was mistakenly released.
Well, I'm appalled and livid on behalf of the public that Kibatu is at large. He should be deported. There is now a manhunt with Essex Police, Metropolitan Police and British Transport Police looking for him.
Labour's
deputy leader will be announced this morning, but will it be Bridget Phillipson or Lucy Powell? And is the position even relevant in modern politics? We'll debate that this hour.
A Sudanese asylum seeker is convicted of murdering a young mother working at the very migrant hotel that he was staying in. Rhiannon White's sister spoke outside court after the verdict was announced.
Throughout this trial, we have been given no reason as to why he chose Rhiannon. She fought for her life and to save herself from this sick, twisted and cowardly human.
The Metropolitan Police set to reopen 9,000 cases of suspected child exploitation, grooming gangs basically, as part of a major probe into the gangs in London.
And later on we'll be speaking to John Story, who's campaigning for paediatric type 1 diabetes screening after his daughter, little Lila there, died aged 2 from undiagnosed diabetes.
Good morning. We'll be looking ahead to a packed weekend of Premier League action with Liverpool, Manchester United and Chelsea all playing today. EFL Crisis Club Sheffield Wednesday, meanwhile, it will be a 12-point deduction after they were placed into administration, and the Rugby League Ashes gets underway at Wembley.
Hello there, good morning. The weekend will start off with some sunshine, but it is going to be feeling cold. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
African News. The news. Peace Monitoring Commission in South Sudan has raised alarms about a major decline in security across the country. The country's Peace Monitoring Commission sounded the alarm following a rise in violence and political instability between July and September this year. According to the quarterly report released just Thursday, clashes have erupted among groups who signed the 2018 peace deal, affecting half of the nation's 10 regional states. The situation is so dire in some areas that peace monitors say they've been unable to investigate reported ceasefire violations safely. The unrest is compounded by the ongoing trial in Juba of Vice President Riek Machar and his supporters, deepening already tense political divisions. The report also highlights a setback for the peace process, with several of Machar's top military allies fleeing the country out of fear of arrests. Government activity has ground to a halt, with the cabinet reportedly not meeting since March after Machar's detention. Meanwhile, President Salva Kiir's administration is facing criticism for appointing more than 20 new judges without the opposition's input.
Belgium has become the latest Western nation to back Morocco's autonomy plan for the disputed Western Sahara. The Belgian Foreign Minister on Thursday signed a joint declaration with his Moroccan counterpart, affirming that from now on it'll act in line with this position on both diplomatic and economic levels. They also agreed to strengthen cooperation between the two countries. The Moroccan initiative for negotiating an autonomy statute for the Sahara region, which was presented in 2007 and envisions that this region would fall within the framework of the kingdom's sovereignty and national unity, constitutes the most adequate, serious, credible and realistic basis for reaching a political solution that is fair, lasting and mutually acceptable. The decision aligns Brussels with positions already taken by the United States, Britain and several European Union countries. The conflict over Western Sahara dates back to 1975 and pits Morocco, which considers the desert territory as its own, against the Algeria-backed Polisario Front, which seeks an independent state there. There's been much talk in recent weeks about Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah's form. The 33-year-old star Liverpool player has been way below his record-breaking performance of last season, but the team...
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.